This is Shopify Masters, the e-commerce marketing podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs. It's powered by Shopify, the easiest way to sell online, in person, and anywhere in between. To get an extended 30-day trial, visit shopify.com/masters. Hey entrepreneurs, my name is Felix and I'm the host of the Shopify Masters podcast. Each week we put out podcast interviews with successful e-commerce entrepreneurs or experts to give you inspiration, motivation, and actionable tips to increase your traffic and sales so your store can generate the sales you need to live the life you want. On the last episode, Kwaku Nornu from thepassionatepug.com explains his Facebook blueprint that gets him to 6 figures of revenue. On today's episode, you'll learn from an entrepreneur that uses video ads to power their $4.7 million business. In this episode, you'll learn how to run surveys using social media advertising, how to use samples to promote your crowdfunding campaign with PR and influencers, and how to create hyper-targeted ads on Facebook. Today, I'm joined by Braden Moreno from robo3d.com. That's ROBO3, the number 3, D.com. Robo3D empowers creation with a growing line of 3D printers, materials, and content, and was started in 2012 and based out of San Diego, California. Welcome, Braden.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Nice. Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about your store and the printing products that you sell through your store.
Yeah, interesting story, actually. We started this in college. We went to San Diego State University, and my business partner his mechanical engineering class was to build a prosthetic leg. That was his project using a 3D printer. And he was using a big expensive machine, and it sort of segued into him building his own 3D printer from scratch. And when I found out about it, I had another company at the time, but I could have used 3D printing to help build some of my prototypes early on. So I realized, wow, this technology is pretty phenomenal. It could help a lot of people with building businesses and ideas. And I immediately just gravitated towards it, and we started building our first product from there.
Nice. So you guys met through your other company, or how did you guys meet?
We met through college. So we were actually in the same fraternity at San Diego State. We knew, hung out a lot, knew each other, knew what we were working on. Actually had tried to work together on some other things in the past that didn't work out very well. And when we came across 3D printing, we knew we were onto something big.
Nice. So you mentioned that you already had the company at the time while your co-founder, your business partner, was working on this 3D printing thing that he was working on. What was it that you were working on at the time?
So this was my third business endeavor. My first one was a watch business, and it actually took me about a year and close to $8,500 to get my first prototypes together. So I knew how expensive and how time-consuming the process was to get prototypes. And when I saw the 3D printing side of it, I was like, wow, I could have literally developed this from scratch, printed it for less than $100 and maybe couple weeks of my time. So it just opened my eyes quite a bit. And I had one of those light bulb moments, and I said, hey, this is something that, if I can help other people, especially because entrepreneurship is so big now, if I could help other people, diminish the process of prototyping quickly and easily, then I think I can have a bigger impact than just trying to start multiple companies myself.
So you had this watch business going already, and you realized that what he was working on was the future of prototyping to help create new products for entrepreneurs. Did you jump right into working with him then, or how did you transition, or were you running both companies? How did you transition into working together with your business partner?
Yeah, he was doing it, for his senior project, and wasn't really, going down the road of it being a business. And I, obviously saw what he was doing. And I always like to say I had that kind of Steve Jobs moment. If you've seen the movie, where you see it and you go, whoa, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. And, when I saw that and when I communicated with him, I said, we should turn this into a business. And, we kind of came together and decided to make our first machine together. So I pretty close to just left the other business, gave it to my business partner, left it because I really just saw an opportunity that was going to be much bigger in front of me. So.
And when you were making this decision, did you have any second thoughts at all about, because you already had something going, right? I'm not sure how successful it was, but oftentimes we hold on to things that are already making progress and it's kind of scary jumping into something brand new. Like, what was going through your mind when you were making this decision?
Yeah, most definitely it was. It's something you always think about, right? You always are wondering, hey, am I leaving something that could potentially be the best route for me. But at that time, when I saw this technology, I knew there was something missing in what I was doing. I liked the watch business. I liked selling watches, like designing them. It had a cool element to it. But for me, when I saw 3D printing, I was like, I can have a much bigger global impact with this technology. This is something that's growing exponentially. It's something that's going to really help in, multiple areas, including manufacturing and prototyping, but other areas as well. And it just was kind of a no-brainer decision for me. I didn't really have to think that much about it. I just knew, I was like, let's try this out and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so your business partner at the time, your business partner back at the beginning, he was already developing the product already, and you were more on the kind of sales and marketing side. What was the kind of breakdown between your partnership?
Yeah, there was three of us that originally started. It was him and another guy. Now there's only two of us that own the business, but they were both working on the kind of the functionality behind the machine. I came in and worked a lot on the design of the machine and the name of the company, and really put the business together. And that's how we all played it out. So they were working on the development side, and I was more turning it into a company.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think that there's this, not necessarily issue, but there's this, when you have a company where you have the people that are developing it, working on, and then there's the other side of the company that's working on building the business up and maybe working on the marketing and sales. That part almost comes in a little bit later, right? The actual sales engine behind it kicks in later. Were you able to do a lot at the beginning, or what was how do you balance that when there's people that are, like you're saying, developing the actual product, and then you were putting the business together? What were you focused on early on?
Yeah, Felix, I got to be honest with you here. The crazy thing when I speak to entrepreneurs and entrepreneur classes and things like that is that none of us were really by trade engineers. So, one of my partners was a bioengineer, but not the mechanical engineer that you would think of when you think of a 3D printer. So we didn't have these big backgrounds of engineering. So we all had to pitch in to help this thing kind of come to fruition. Mm-hmm. So, and we used a ton. People always think you got to go get a big degree or have a bunch of schooling or, some type of background that leads you down this path. But we were just really passionate about building a product. And we just went to Google, we went to YouTube, we went on forums about people building kits and 3D printers. And we really just did it all ourselves from scratch. So it was a fun, collaborative effort by all of us. And, even in those early days, I was, putting together a lot of the linear motion systems of the machine and, figuring out about all different types of stuff around engineering as well.
Yeah, for a highly technical product like this, I don't know anything about 3D printing, especially not the mechanics behind building a 3D printer. Yeah. But it seems like a very technical problem, right? It's hardware you have to build, software you have to build as well. And like you're saying, you guys didn't have a background and have a formal education in all of this. It wasn't daunting at any point where you're thinking like, man, somebody could come along, some company could come along that knows way more about the technical details of this and just crush us. So you guys didn't have that fear?
No, not at all. It was such an emerging tech category, and it was just really a wild, wild west of opportunity. We looked at it. We looked at the other companies that were out there. A lot of the machines that were out there at the time, honestly, were sort of these erector set looking styles of machines, and these kit builds, and just very open. And so what we kind of try to do is we looked at the market and we said, there's an opportunity to create we always call it some sex appeal in this market, just because no one had really created this fully out of the box, nice looking, ready to go machine. And so that's what we were building. We were building the kind of the consumer 3D printer for everyone, if you will, and at an affordable price point, because a lot of the machines at the time were thousands of dollars. So we had a tough mission on our hands, and we just worked on it every single day. It was just nonstop perseverance to get this thing working, and we avoided our friends trying to get us to go out and party with them and do all this, just because we were, so maniacally focused on finishing this first prototype.
Right. And when it is an emerging market and there's not much competition out there, there's also not that much data about what people actually want. And the pro of being in an emerging market is that you can be first to market and then reap all the benefits of that. But then, like I was saying, you don't have the data that you need to kind of guide the design, guide the marketing behind it. How did you deal with this? How did you find the guidance necessary when it's such a new market?
Yeah, I think you just look at other markets that are in similar parallels, if you will. So we looked at smart electronics, even smart home type products and followed a similar path along that in terms of design and things like that. Now what's kind of interesting in some of the stuff we're doing with our new smart machines is we're starting to be able to collect data. And what we'll be able to do with this data is make a lot of different decisions, like what are people 3D printing, what kind, and then using that data, we can then deliver content to consumers. We can get a better idea and kind of project what we're building and why we're building it. Do we need to make a printer that's faster? Do we need to make one that's bigger? We can start determining these different feature sets based on the use cases of our actual customers. So one of the cool things we did early on too was we actually did surveys to a bunch of people that were in the industry using social media advertising. So we would do these surveys and give gift cards away, like $50 gift card. And we had a list of questions about features that they wanted. Do they already own one? Are they looking at one? And we targeted people that were, somewhat familiar with 3D printing. And, we used that data to build our first machine. So we sort of built a feature set based off that initial data.
That's awesome that you're able to do all this surveying and targeted surveying. But talk to us a little bit more about this. I think that this is a data that a lot of people need to, where they would like to survey people, but maybe they either don't have the time or they don't have the access to reach the right demographic in person, that is. Talk to us a little bit more about how you did this surveying using social media advertising.
Yeah, you can do it. Actually, it's a lot easier nowadays too. I would always recommend people, if they want to get data, if they're building a product, to do something as simple as, if you want to do Facebook advertising, that's probably the best route. Build a simple video, because viewing videos you get a lot better click through and viewing rate and cost. So you can get video views for $0.01 view. So I always recommend do the video. We set up something as simple as a SurveyMonkey survey for free, and we said we're going to basically choose someone to win a $50 Amazon gift card. We got hundreds of applicants just filling out this quick survey, and it gave us all that data for a $50 gift card, which can be a lot less expensive than it would be if you went into a company that actually does surveys or anything like that. So for the cost of $50, we were able to generate huge amounts of information for us that allowed us to make certain decisions early on that ended up helping us, launch a successful Kickstarter campaign and build our first product.
Nice. And how did you know what kind of questions to ask in this survey?
We were already, this was this was probably 4 to 5 months into us even working on the product and, doing a ton of research online and just looking at every 3D printer under the sun and we bought one industry report. We ended up getting a discount on this industry report, and we bought that. So we were really reading up, researching, and looking at the industry. And so we knew quite a bit about it. So for us, making the questions were fairly easy at that point. We saw the feature sets, we kind of put them side by side and built sort of graphs, and we're like, wow, there's opportunities here. Like no one's built a bigger build platform, for example, at a price point of, X. We're able to kind of create these relations that then helped us with our questioning, which then helped and led us to actually building our product.
Nice. And did you do this multiple times, or did you just do this one survey once and it was good enough to go?
This one survey we did it one time. So I think we got close to 500 people that ended up filling this out. And that was enough data for us that we're on the right path in what we're building out.
Very cool. So now I want to take it back to the beginning where you recognize that there's opportunity here, that there's a market that was growing, that there was a business potential based on what you saw that your business partners already working on. What were the next steps to actually turning it into a business? Like what did you want to focus on, let's say the first 6 months of the business?
Yeah, so the first 6 months was honestly us building our product. It was just trying to get, we got the concept, we got the ideas, we knew what we wanted to do. We started working on a logo and just trying to kind of build the most simplistic process at the least amount of money to get us our initial prototype of the product. Once we got that, I would say that was about a 6 to 7 month process of doing that. Obviously, if you're building different types of products, it's a lot easier now with outsourcing and things like that. But for us, we had to build it from scratch. So once we got that first prototype together, it was, obviously a great achievement for us at that time. We were like, cool, we got our first product. What do we do with it? Do we go raise money? And it just led us down the path to Kickstarter. There was other products in 3D printing that had done extremely well on Kickstarter. We knew the market was hot for it and excited about it. We were looking at analyst reports and they were under predicting the market in terms of like, they probably almost, we talked about this today, like they would have been fired under predicting it that much. So it was like severely under predicting the market growth, and which is not something that you have to do early on. I would say just spend the least amount of money to get your first product together and test it in any way possible. And our test was crowdfunding.
Nice. So let's talk about the crowdfunding then. So you launched on Kickstarter. Your goal was $100,000. Ended up raising almost 4 times that at $382,000 from almost.
That was our second one.
Oh, was your second one?
Our first one was $49,000 was our goal, and we raised $649,000.
Wow, nice. Okay, so let's talk about that one first then. So what kind of preparation went into that Kickstarter campaign? Did you guys do any kind of prepping, or just launched it and waited to see what happened?
No, we did. It was fun. We always like shoot for the stars, right? So we knew we didn't have a big budget to spend on creating a really professional video. Luckily at that time, Kickstarter was relatively new. I mean, there was some products that had done extremely well, and it was getting some recognition, but you could get away with building a kind of a homegrown video. It's a little bit different now, but depending on the product, you can still do that. But we were just had a blast filming this video. So we set up these scenes, and I remember the funniest thing we did was, if you watch product videos, you've seen like these beautiful 360 shots of the product, kind of spinning super slow and beautiful, and the light hitting it perfectly. And we wanted to get one of those shots of our product. So we went and got one of these really cheap stools from IKEA, and I sat the product on the top of it. If you can imagine this in your head, if you can close your eyes and imagine this, I'm literally under the stool while we have the camera just slightly above me so you can't see me. And I'm like slowly rotating the stool to get that 360 shot. And if you go back and watch these first videos, it's hilarious, but we actually did. It ended up turning out pretty well. So we built a really homegrown video. We got a lot of cool pictures, built our campaign page out. I would say that took about another month to do that. And we pressed the launch button, I think, in late December of 2012.
Awesome.
And I don't. If you want me to go on, it was.
Yeah. Well, let's say so. You launched it, and did you have to promote it anyway? I mean, I'm looking at this now, the first Kickstarter, and $650,000 practically. Did it require any push from you, or like how did you guys get this thing rolling so much?
We started to do some small things. We started to build a social media page and things like that. We're getting some interest from people, so we had that kind of going, but we didn't really do much pre-launching. Like I said, nowadays I would recommend completely the opposite. If people are wanting to build products, I always recommend, like, if you have a small product that you're starting and you're not either selling it on Amazon or you don't have a ton of funds to bring it to market, I mean, crowdfunding is the best possible route. You don't have to give away equity, and you really prove your concept. That's why I use it as far as like a proof of concept platform. Nowadays, though, I would always recommend, spend a little time building your page, build your audience, build some excitement around your product, get feedback early on, and build a really good page. And because the minute you click launch, you want to have a huge upside. You want people buying that product, kicking it off, and it, continuing to get momentum from early on. But when we did it, it was so new. There was not a ton of projects or campaigns on Kickstarter. So we knew we were going to leverage the Kickstarter community that was already excited about 3D printing.
Yeah, the demographic is definitely there already. These are people that want to be the first kind of beta testers of everything. So I think that was a perfect market for you guys.
And they wanted cool new tech products. That's what they were looking for, and that was what Kickstarter was about early on. They've since gone to a ton of different categories, but we were a cool new tech product in a cool new category at a really good time to launch a Kickstarter campaign. So that helped a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you were saying, a lot has changed from back when you launched. It looks like many years, like probably 4 or 5 years ago, and you launched a new Kickstarter not too long ago as well. What did you find that changed the most between the many years between those two Kickstarter campaigns?
Yeah, I launched 4 for the watch business, and I've launched 2 for this business, and this most recent one was the most difficult to understand. I mean, we already had built a huge community. We had tens of thousands of social media fans and followers and people interested in our products. And so we were able to build a really big excitement for the new products because we had talked about them for a year. So when we were talking about doing the Kickstarter campaign, everyone was really excited and kind of chomping at the bit to get access to it early on. So we kicked it off extremely fast. We got to 150,000 within hours.
This is your second your second campaign for Robo3D?
Our second campaign, yeah. So it went extremely fast. A lot of our previous customers had bought. We did some things on the strategy side. I don't know if I probably would have redone. Like we set, I think, too small of early access rewards, because you can set how many people you call them early birds for people that are like the first people to get your product. I think we set too low in those amounts. We should have set more and given people bigger discounts. But it just went really fast, and then it kind of extremely slowed down, and we had to do a lot to reach out to press and get people to talk about our products. And unfortunately, at the time, it's always a good thing if you're doing a Kickstarter campaign, for anyone out there listening, to have some extra products to send out to people, PR people, influencers. It's a lot easier to get them to write about you when they get to test your product, because especially now, there's been so many crowdfunding campaigns that have failed. So, having, a prototype of your product there that you can send to someone that they can try out and use says a lot about it. And, more press will want to write about it if you had that. We didn't have that at the time, so that didn't help in our favor very much. But we ended up still doing really well. Super happy with the campaign, and, we've been able to raise over $1 million for the company on Kickstarter. So it's been good for us. And, moving forward, we might not go to crowdfunding anymore for new products, but definitely good to go back to the platform that helped us start our business.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So you mentioned that one of the things that you would go back in and do differently, even for the second campaign, was that you set too small of an early access reward. Can you say a little bit more about this? Like, what is an early access reward, and why did you feel like you, I guess, did it? Why do you feel like you should have done it differently?
Well, so when we launched the campaign again, it wasn't for us to raise money to fund manufacturing. We were already beginning to manufacture our products. For us, it was to give the people that helped us start our initial company the best pricing possible on the new products. So we wanted to give them early access to get the products before everyone else at a phenomenal price point. You don't know what to expect. You don't know if it's going to go really well or if it's not going to go extremely well. We had an idea it was going to go well, but you get to set what's called most people do these early bird rewards, which is like the very first people that buy your product get the best possible discount you have. And you usually cap it at a certain amount. What ended up happening is, we already had this big customer database, but we did our early birds that only had about 50 units. And when that sold out and it went to our next tier, which was a higher price, I think a lot of our customers that, unfortunately, because that sold out in minutes. And so a lot of our customers that didn't get in at that early price were upset that they didn't get that earlier price. And then, that ended up leading to, potential issues of them not buying the product, or, them just being upset that they had to pay more money. So it's tough. You never really know. You kind of just go with what you think is going to happen. And, we under predicted how quickly it was going to take off early on.
Yeah, I'm looking at your first Kickstarter campaign here, and you have a ton of pledging tiers on this one. I'm looking at the other one too. You have a lot of, you don't have as many on the second one. Was this conscious decision? Like, how do you decide what should go into, how many, I guess, tiers you have, and at what price point for each tier?
Yeah, the first campaign, all the tiers we had were based on further shipping dates out. So, we had tiers that were shipping within this 2-month time frame, and then a tier that would ship a little bit later. So we didn't really change much on the prices. It was more, hey, you're just going to get your product later if you're in this tier. Mm-hmm. For the new one, we all talked about it, and we said, let's sort of cap the entire campaign off. We don't want to overdo it in the beginning. We just want to give the people that want to come back, that maybe backed our first campaign, or our customers that own our product now, let's just give them access to the new machines, at a certain capped, I guess, amount. And we got through over what we were hoping to get in terms of unit sales. So it worked out really well for us. And, we didn't have any need to grow additional, rewards or anything like that.
Okay, cool. Now, I think what we hear all the time in the crowdfunding and Kickstarter community is that it's a saturated market now. It's much harder to be successful. What kind of opportunities do you think have come out of this? Like, are there other new opportunities that didn't exist before? Like, where do you see the opportunities what kind of opportunities do you see people should go after in this kind of stage of the crowdfunding space?
So I totally agree. I think it is oversaturated now. I think what ended up happening is Indiegogo and Kickstarter got into this battle, and then they all started kind of like unlocking their platform to the public. I think Kickstarter started to, which I like about them, is they've kind of stepped back and said, hey, we're going to be a little more focused on making sure we're only getting the highest quality products launching on our site. So I think that helps the community that's following all the new products they feel a little bit more like they're getting the best quality stuff. So hopefully that'll shift kind of back into Kickstarter's favor. And if you get on that platform, you're going to have much better success just utilizing the people that are already on there buying products. But I don't know. It's an interesting game. You have to market a lot more. I think there's many ways to do that now. I think social media advertising is being heavily underutilized. Like I said, we're doing video advertising and getting 1 cent views on videos, which is just astronomical conversions at that rate. So you can do some unique things to drive traffic to your page. And if you have a good product and you portray it well and you're excited about it and the video is entertaining and it keeps attention of people, then you have a huge chance of it being shared, and the ability to go viral is right there.
Got it. So now in the first campaign, after raising that $650,000, were you guys like blown away by this? Or were you shocked? Like, what was the emotion going on within the founding team after such a successful Kickstarter?
Yeah, it was funny. I gotta tell you, it was. We launched a few days after Christmas, and when we pressed the live button, we were all obviously had immense amount of anxiety about it. We're like, okay, let's press it. And we're kind of all sitting there, and all of a sudden, within less than a minute, I think it was 30 seconds into it, we got a backer, and it was like $599 or something. And we all called each other because we had this like funny thing where, hey, if no one like backs us early on, let's get on here and like spend our own money to start, getting some rewards in there. And so someone backed us, and we called each other and we said, "Hey, was that you? Was that you?" No one actually did it. So we were like, "Wow, someone actually just bought one of our products early on," and it just kept going from there. It was just this. Within, I think, the first night, we were up to close to $40,000 in unit sales on there. Yeah, and so it just kept kind of rolling, and I couldn't even sleep. I mean, it was the most addicting feeling to get a notification or a ping on your phone that another backer, you get these things called backer alerts. If you launch a campaign, so anytime someone backs your project, you get a little email that says like backer alert, so-and-so backed your project for X amount of dollars. And we just kept getting these alerts, and it was such a cool, addicting feeling that, let us know that all this hard work that we put in to build this first product was actually going to turn into something, turn into a business. And we knew that we were going to be able to build this product out. And so a lot of excitement around it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's that first sale, that first backer, I bet is one of those rushes that you can maybe never achieve again, because it's so amazing that some stranger on the internet trusts you, especially like such a large or high price point like your product. Must have been exhilarating.
Yeah, it was cool.
So one of the other benefits of launching a Kickstarter that I've heard from a lot of campaign creators is that the feedback that they get is invaluable as well. People are just commenting on their project. Did you guys get any, I see a lot of comments here in the first one, I think over 1,200 comments. Did you guys get any feedback during this process that actually altered your either design or your marketing, like that actually changed, that made you make changes in your business?
Well, so we did, I would say the first campaign, as it was a success on paper, we had a very tough time bringing that product to market. We said we were going to bring it in 3 months, and ended up taking 9 to 10 months to get our first ones out. So when you look back at the campaign threads and the comments, a lot of them were like negative about people being upset that they weren't getting their product. It's really hard to manage all the people that are upset. So, obviously we offered, hey, we'll give you discounts and things like that. But early on, there's a ton of people that kind of come to the forefront that are total advocates of what you're doing and what you stand for and your company and your product. And so no question, a ton. I mean, we actually hired people that backed our project that work with us now from the Kickstarter campaign. So tons of amazing influence happened early on, and people that helped us with building out, for example, we wanted to build out this heated platform. So we had people that were helping build out a heated platform so we could deliver it to all the Kickstarter backers. So yeah, amazing community, especially in this industry. There's just a lot of people that are willing to share and give free advice and, design things for free and just to participate in, growing this industry.
Awesome. So after raising the $650,000, did you guys just try to get into production mode right away? Like, what did you guys use those funds for?
Yeah, so we went overseas. We flew overseas. I was talking to 50 different manufacturers of products and components, and everyone's wearing a million different hats, and we're trying to put this whole thing together. But we spent quite a bit of time overseas building out our manufacturing, and we worked with a partner that we found. I mean, I'm sure everyone's familiar with Alibaba. If you're listening, if you're not, Alibaba is a great place to go and find products and outsource them. If you want to sell them, what I would always suggest is to go there with your concept and idea, find something similar, and utilize, find a manufacturer that makes a product similar to what your idea is, and kind of utilize them to design your own custom product from there. So we worked with a ton of different manufacturers from Alibaba early on. Ended up meeting a guy that wanted to do manufacturing for us that saw our Kickstarter campaign. So we flew over there and set up the whole process. And, we really didn't have a clue what we were doing per se. We just knew we were going to get these products made because we knew we had to deliver them to our Kickstarter backers. So it was sort of like we'll do anything. I won't sleep for months if I don't have to. We're going to get these things done and we're going to deliver to these people because we made a promise to them to do that. And so the idea of not delivering was not even fathomable by us. We knew we were going to do it. So we just went over there, built a manufacturing with this guy pretty much from scratch and started getting these machines into production, within about 4 to 5 months after that.
Awesome. So after the Kickstarter campaign, after you guys got these initial orders out the way, what was the goal to continue to actually build a business around? Like, what was the traffic and the sales, strategy that you wanted to put in place? Yeah,
so we heavily underestimated how much money we would need. I mean, it's a classic example of people that start crowdfunding campaigns and the one thing I would always say and suggest to everyone is to think about the amount of time it's going to take you to build the product. Because if that takes 9 months to a year and the only thing you're selling is, a slight margin on your product, you're not building in the run rate of costs it's going to take, to hire some people if you need them, to pay yourself if you're going full time, just enough to eat top ramen, whatever it may be. So, we had to spend a lot of time actually once we finished the Kickstarter campaign, launching our website and starting to pre-sell our product with 8-month lead times. So we spent a lot of time doing that, and that gave us enough cash flow to actually get the product finally to market. So it was interesting. We had a lot of issues early on just from a financial standpoint bringing this product to market. But, like I said, we were just nonstop making sure we were going to get this thing going.
So you mentioned, I think, in our pre-interview questions that Facebook advertising has been a big sales channel for you. You mentioned you use a lot of social media advertising in preparation for the company and everything. What kind of a strategy do you have on Facebook? What kind of ads are you running?
So I think the most exciting thing, and I feel like a lot of people that do social media advertising or Facebook advertising don't utilize it to the best possible way. I think what's really interesting about it, if no one has gone in there and tested it or looked at it, you really should. I always, and anyone that wants to learn anything, I always recommend going to Udemy. It's udemy.com. Really great platform to purchase pretty inexpensive courses to teach you about a multitude of subjects. So I remember doing that early on, buying courses to teach me about Facebook advertising, and it just gave me a lot of the knowledge that then I grew upon. But you can go in there and you can filter to people that, essentially at the end of the day, if you filter down to a guy that's an engineering student at San Diego State University, and, you can keep going further than that. And then I create content for the ad that says, like, check out our 3D printer built for engineering students. And then I say, you get 10% off using discount code STSU Engineer. What's ended up happening is this STSU engineer is looking at my ad. He doesn't know I know about him really. And it's almost like I'm speaking to him personally. And so that ability to influence people because you know more information than they know, it's really been kind of the art and creativity and exciting part to me about this advertising.
Yeah, I like that approach a lot, and I've started to see it a little bit more on Facebook, where people will try to sell things like merchandise based on your first name, or sell you merchandise based on your birth month, and try to make it seem like they know a lot about you, like you're saying. Yeah, I think one of the difficult things about this approach is scaling it up, right? How do you get this to scale when you're trying to create such personalized advertising? How have you handled this issue?
Yeah, I've had to do, I've had at one point running 260 different ads.
Wow.
So you have to focus a lot and, set smaller scale budgets and, just make sure you're on top of it. I would say early on, just going to sort of niche areas to just get a feel for what works and what doesn't work is really the route to take. So you start kind of scaling down into smaller audiences, 10,000 people audiences. And for those of you that have never used Facebook advertising, this may be confusing, but if you get in there and kind of start looking at how you can filter people down and how you can choose different types of demographics, you'll start to see the audience size kind of decrease. So I would always say start with these small scale audiences, and then once you find something that works, then scale it up. And Facebook has a lot of tools that allow you to do this. You can create things like lookalike audiences that, based off ones that have already worked, and you can do some cool stuff.
Nice. So you also mentioned that you were running video ads at least during the Kickstarter and the initial phases. Are you guys still using video ads a lot? Yeah,
we're actually building the whole video content strategy for advertising this year, which is going to be really exciting. We're in an industry, 3D printing is still somewhat confusing to the masses on what they would use it for. So what we're trying to do is really focus on approachable ways for people to understand how they would fit 3D printing into their lives and build video content around that. Follow a lot of the trends. I'm sure you guys have seen like the BuzzFeed style videos and these really trendy kind of videos that end up going viral. So kind of follow along these trends, kind of the look and feel, the big text overlays and things like that, and just building content that helps people understand how to use our product.
Especially a product like this that is technical, I think it is important to show it in action. And when you run these video ads, do you focus on trying to get the customer or the viewer to convert right away to come over to your site, or do you have to typically follow up with more maybe conversion focused ads to drive them to check out the product?
Yeah, so I think I do a little bit of both. I do ads I have, now that I've done so many of them, I've accumulated so much data on them. So there's ads groups that I target that do convert very well. So when we have sales and things like that, I send that to that group, like certain specials we have going on, or I give them discount codes and I target them. But there's also some ads I do, video ads, where I just want people to start talking. So, I ask questions in the ad, like, tell me what you're 3D printing this week. And I target people that own 3D printers of multitude of different categories, just because I want to create this dialogue and I want to start accumulating some level of data and engagement with our brand. And so I think I use a multitude of approaches there, but I really just want to get people to see who we are, talk about what we're doing, talk about the industry in general and what 3D printing, it's amazing. I just did this ad and I have like 80 something comments and pictures of people that are literally uploading pictures of things they're 3D printing right now. And it's just this huge thread that's going, and it's just really cool. So it's growing the industry itself. So I think there's a side of me that wants to grow the industry also, and a side that obviously, wants to grow our business.
Yeah, and when you look at videos, product videos specifically, there's kind of, two different approaches to it. One is more the educational route where you show how it works, you show about the features and everything. And then there's the other angle, which I think is more like entertainment related, how to get it to go viral, get it to a lot of people to talk about it. How do you decide which kind of content to create? Like, how do you know which one works better?
A lot of it was just trial and error early on. Like I said, I was able to, a lot of it I think started out being sales focused. So I was able to build audiences that worked from a sales standpoint. And you have to set up like these pixels on your Shopify site, which we have, that allow you to track sales from ads. And so I'm able to see kind of which ads have generated the most revenue and what groups have generated the most revenue now. But it started out really not with nothing, right? I had a blank slate. I was just targeting people that followed my competitors and targeting people that were interested in 3D printing or followed different 3D blogs and things like that. And that was giving me some data that was working. And then I just kept building from there. And then now that I'm kind of becoming more sophisticated in it, now I'm starting to realize, wow, I can use this in a multitude of ways to just help gain awareness about the industry as a whole, because I want that to grow, because I know how cool the technology is. And, you know, I can do it just to create sharing and engagement and excitement. It all started out with zero, and I just kept track of all my data in there. And Facebook does a really good job of allowing you to do that. They allow you to filter it out. They allow you to see all the data. You can kind of change what metrics you want to see. It's really fun when you dive into it and start seeing that.
Now, if you were to launch a new product into the marketplace using Facebook, and especially if a product that is like yours as a hardware and kind of technical product, would you focus more on the educational or the entertainment angle? Like what kind of theme would you say you'd want to focus on when you're creating a video ad?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the product. I mean, ours has to have such a high level of education to actually get people that aren't in the industry looking at it and understanding what it is and why they would want it. So, when I'm currently targeting people that, from an educational perspective, it's people that may not necessarily know they want a 3D printer yet. Mm-hmm. So that's where a lot of my targeting goes to. If I was to start a new product, honestly, I think about this a lot. I'm like, what would I do next, right? Or what am I going to do next beyond this? And I almost have this weird strategy that I would, and I hate to say this per se, but I would like think about obviously something that excites me, I'm passionate about, but also like what level of targeting I can do and what product could I potentially be really successful at with my knowledge of targeting. Because I think there's certain things, if you do this backdoor approach, I think you can have a lot of success. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think a lot of times we go the more typical route, which is the way you described it. What am I passionate about? What am I interested in most? But I think to make it sometimes your job easier, you gotta look at what distribution is available, right? Not just the distribution of the product, but how can you easily get the word out about the product that you're going after? If it's easy to do, if it's targetable, like you're saying, then it's going to make your job a lot easier. A lot of times we don't think about that until much later after the product already exists. Then you start thinking about, okay, how do I get people to learn about this? And sometimes when you figure that out right from the beginning, or maybe have like a filter criteria in your mind about how easy you want it to be distributed, then I think that makes your job a lot easier when you're launching a new product.
Most definitely. I agree. 100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, any thoughts or any tips on? I think this whole video ad thing is awesome, because I think it's a new grounds like you're talking about. A lot of people are maybe just trying out for the first time. Any thoughts on like the length of a video ad?
And speaking on this too, just the category as a whole. I mean, it's already changing, right? So when I first started doing video ads, like I already am kind of seeing more people do it now, and what's going to end up happening is going to cost a lot more. It's going to be less effective. Because and anyone that's starting a company, I mean, you're competing for attention of people in general. So it's not that, I mean, it's a noisy world, and it's no longer just like, hey, I'm competing with my direct competitor. You're just competing to capture the attention of someone long enough to tell them what you're doing. So if it's not exciting enough, and I mean, people have a million things to do, and now they're tied to their phones and they're connecting with their friends. So it's got to be something that grabs them. So I always suggest, in terms of length of video, to keep it short and sweet, high energy, and extremely great visuals. Something that can pull them in, very quickly right from the start. Don't lag. I mean, it's amazing how even like the smallest lag in a video can cause someone just to scroll. I mean, it's so easy just to scroll, right? We can just do it in a second, and you got to look at your video. Put yourself to the side, the video that you're creating, even when you're talking about Kickstarter and crowdfunding videos, put yourself to the side or ask people and be like, is there even a half a second or a couple seconds where this lags and is boring? Because that's going to severely affect people watching the entirety of your video. And you may have some great information you want them to get to that they won't make it to because the video isn't engaging enough.
Yeah, and I've never run a Facebook video ad, but are you able to see how long people are watching a video for? To like how many seconds into the video before they I guess leave?
Yeah, you can see 3 second, 15 second, 30. I mean, you can see all the way to they finish the entirety of the video. So you can see where people started dropping off. And if you actually do this a lot, you can actually go into your video and go, wow, I understand. I mean, you can see why people dropped off at certain spots. And you can do like a quick re-edit of your video and relaunch it under those same or to those same people and see if that changes it at all. I mean, it's really like an art to get this working and to find avenues that end up creating sales or creating leads or whatever you want it to be.
Definitely. Now, do you hire out for these videos, or is it all done in-house?
We do. So this year we're going to be hiring out some of it because we actually have some funding. Early on we did some in-house. We created these. I hired some guys, some videography students, and they came and we created some cool, fun videos early on. So that's always a way to do it if you're low and limited on resources. And there's plenty. I just went back to my college and I said, hey, this cool summer internship program. We're going to create some badass videos around 3D printing, right? Who wants to be a part of that? And I got a couple of guys that wanted to come and do that. So we built some fun videos. But this year we'll create some more professional videos. And also I'm gonna start testing some really raw videos. Some done on a smartphone with me talking to the camera and showing the 3D printer in action. I want to see how those convert, because I think people like that real personal feel and vibe too when they're watching, these video ads.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some value in making an ad look as native or as organic as possible, because sometimes when someone does it really well and I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed and then all of a sudden I'm watching this entire video and then I'm like, damn it, they got me. This was an ad the whole time, but it was so organic that it sucked me right in. So I think that there's definitely value in making it as raw, like you're saying, as possible. Now, I want to talk about something else that you mentioned in the pre-interview questions, which is sales timers that are effective for you for sales. Now, tell us a little more about this. Like, what are sale timers?
Yeah, this has been extremely effective for us, and it's not in a way that we're trying to deceive anyone. It's really just we do a lot of these kind of like flash sales on our website, and we always build out these sort of timers at the top. So these banner sort of images at the top that says like, bundle specials for 24 hours with a timer that for the next 24 hours. And it just increases the level of interest in getting your products quicker than later. So we're able to convert a lot of sales around the times when we have these timers and these specials or these deals. So for our product, it works extremely well. For other products, it might not work that well, but it's something to definitely test and try. And I think just looking at all the different stuff all the apps we've put on from our Shopify store and tried and tested, this is one that's worked really well for us.
Yeah, I think urgency is something that a lot of people miss out on when they are designing their marketing, because sometimes you have to force people to make a decision. It's not like you're making them buy something that they wouldn't buy already, but sometimes people, take a while to make a decision. By having this countdown like you're talking about, it forces that decision making, and that's sometimes the difference between them buying now or buying later. Maybe not. Maybe they'll forget about buying it altogether if they don't buy immediately.
And a lot of them are done with products that either, are waiting, our new inventory is coming in. So we want to get rid of some of this inventory. So we do these flash sales. So we do it very strategic to get us into a point when our new inventory comes in that we're kind of released of our old inventory. We got our new stuff in, and now we can continue to cycle. And then we, once we get low on that, we kind of push them through. And so it's all based on kind of the different products we have, the different supply we have at the time. And we have a lot of fun with it. We do these really fun, titled bundles and things like that, and people love it. And, they end up doing really well with those timers.
And are you always running some kind of timer?
Not always. So I test a lot of different things. Like right now, if you go on the robo3d.com site, you'll see like a thing at the top that we have a couple bundle deals. So there's no timer on that. So I'm just running that through. So I do a little bit of everything and see what works and what doesn't work. And I change colors of the banner a lot to see what color attracts more clicks. And so I spend a lot of time, messing around with certain things to see what works and what doesn't work. And that's a lot of fun for me. If that's not something that people like to do, hire that out or find a freelancer that likes to do that, because you can have a lot of success just finding what actually does work. A lot of people are literally a button away from something working 10 times better than, what they currently have.
Right. And have you found that having a countdown timer too often, could that be a bad thing? Like how often do you think that there's a threshold for that?
No question. Yeah. Especially if you have a lot of repeat people on your site, if you always have a timer going on, they're going to probably lose interest in that pretty quickly, or they're not going to take it as seriously. So, we space ours out quite a bit when we do them, but we always know, like, hey, when we're coming in at the month's end and, we have some inventory we need to push out, we know, like, we kind of have that backup plan. Like, hey, we can put this deal out, this kind of flash deal with the timer, and we know it's going to generate a decent amount of sales, especially with some of the advertising groups that we have that, we can reach out to generate sales.
Nice. And can you give us the app or software that you use for this?
So we actually hard coded all those in, the ones we have on the site now.
Oh, nice.
I'm trying to think which one. I know there is some apps in Shopify that do timers and deals on the website, but the one we have, we actually hard coded in ourselves.
Cool. Yeah. So you mentioned something, I think in maybe the email you sent over to me, which was that this wasn't always all fun and games, that you ran out of money or almost ran out of money. I'm not sure which one was it, multiple times, had minor recalls of the product. What happened? What happened in these situations?
Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been obviously easy, but I always say, people are like, you have the American dream. I was like, this was the dream, the perseverance dream. To get us through what we went through. But, we ran out of money quite a number of times, actually. And, the first times was I was in New York for a trade show. I was attending by myself to promote our products. And, my business partner called me and they talking about how we can't pay payroll. And so I just spent probably all the way up until 2-3 in the morning contacting international distributors, kind of poaching from competitors' sites and reaching out to people that, we're carrying 3D printing products, and ended up getting an order that was able to pay our payroll for 2 weeks. And so, we worked through these issues early on, and we, raised some money to help finance inventory, which was huge for us early on, because we didn't want to give equity away in the early stages. So we had to find ways to purchase our inventory. Our inventory costs a lot. And then we had one minor recall where some of the wires that we were using were defective. And so we had to it was about 100 machines we had to get back and replace and send back out, which cost us a lot of money. And it's just all these things that, you kind of go through. And that's why when I'm always talking to, people that want to start companies, entrepreneurs, things like that, is if you're not like super passionate and excited about what you're doing, these are the things that will drive you down to the point of potentially, leaving what could have been a great business opportunity or idea.
Definitely. And you said the minor recall. What happened there?
It was just honestly, we had so many different manufacturers of supplies that were being sent to our assembly house. And we got a batch of wires that were just defective. And those actual wires were not allowed. They basically weren't. We had this thing called a heating platform. They weren't heating up the heated platform. And a lot of people bought the 3D printer because it did that, because that meant you could use certain materials. And so we got a lot of upset customers, and we just handled it, with our customer service. We said, listen, if anyone responds to this is the process. Send them a shipping label, have them ship it back. We'll replace it and we'll send it back to them, with the quickest turnaround time possible. And we just worked through that kind of day by day, and we were all pitching in and helping out. And, we just didn't let those issues. We knew there was going to be issues, and we just didn't let those stop what we were trying to do.
Awesome. Now, can you give us an idea of how successful the business is today after going through all of these almost running out of money, and then this minor product recall? Like, how successful is the business today? Yeah,
we're at a really good stage. I mean, we just actually launched so we've only been selling pretty much one machine the past 3 years, a year to develop it, and then 2 years. And now during those 2 years, we started developing our 2 new products. So we just closed our year at about 4.7 million. So that's been amazing just on the one product. And now, we're obviously expecting to grow significantly more with our new products. We're going to have a multitude of machines out in the market. We're going to have new materials. We have a lot of stuff that we're, that are in the works and that we're launching. So it's exciting.
Nice. So new products coming out. Where else do you want to see the company be in the next year?
I'm really fascinated around the accumulation of data, which sounds so nerdy and techy, but I want to be able to capture what people are using the product for. And, I have this concept and this thought that we can build a proactive customer service company as well, which I think would be really cool if we can find out that machines are stopping at certain times and we can track that serial code and we can reach out to them and say, hey, we noticed your machine didn't finish. Is there an issue? I really want to have that level of proactivity from a customer service side to help our customers. But I also want to be able to see what they're using the product for, not by a case-by-case basis, not from a privacy issue, but just to accumulate data so we can understand and better serve content to people. Because if a lot of people are making, iPhone cases, and we can design, we can have a team of people that are designing cool iPhone case designs and delivering that to people, via their smartphone with our mobile app or, on our actual 3D printer. We have basically a computer so we can send files and an update to people. So we can do some fun stuff when we actually find and accumulate what people are using the product for.
Nice. So sounds like a very exciting 2017 coming up. Thanks so much again for your time, Braden. So robo3d.com, again, is a website. Where else should listeners check out if they want to follow along with what you guys are up to, what you're up to?
Yeah, check us out, robo3d.com. You can follow me, Braden Moreno, on all the Instagram channels. I post a lot about our company and what we're doing. LinkedIn, any of those as well. We're all over social media. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all of it.
Awesome. Thanks again so much for your time, Braden.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Here's a sneak peek of what's in store for the next Shopify Masters episode.
You have to help that retailer move products off the shelf. And so one of the big tactics that we use and where we spend most of our marketing budget is on specific demographic info of who is in that community, where is a Walmart store or a Target store. Based on demographic info, this person is more likely or less likely to go to a Target or a Walmart, and we're going to show them ads that drive them in store. And we can actually track it.
Thanks for listening to Shopify Masters, the e-commerce marketing podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs. To start your store today, visit shopify.com/masters to claim your extended 30-day free trial.